You're listening to the Orange Power Podcast, a product of Oklahoma State Athletics. Here are your hosts, Jessica Maury and the voice of the Cowboys, Dave Hunziker.
We begin, as always, talking Cowboy baseball with Oklahoma State head coach Josh Holliday, and Cowboys continuing their run as of late, winning 2 out of 3 at K-State, a win at Wichita State, and getting ready for a Bedlam series as Oklahoma State coasts a top 10 ranking into the weekend. So as you think about now, you're into conference play, you've won 5 of 6 to start league play. Where are you seeing some growth now in some areas maybe where you were looking for that, say, around spring break or in early March? What have been the growth areas?
Well, the spring break section of the schedule where we had a chance to play those 5 home games. Dallas Baptist, I think, was the first one. And then Seton Hall, was continuing to develop the depth of our team and get more and more guys involved into just our lineup and our options with the lineup. I definitely think that has occurred. I think there's evidence of that. Just this past Tuesday up in Wichita, when at one point in time we had 4 freshmen in the lineup. Ian Doherty, who caught a really nice game and had a base hit. Aiden Miola, who had a clutch base hit. Rock Riggio, Zach Earhart. So you had 4 freshmen in the lineup at once. You get a big-time bench contribution from Brett Brown. He hit a game-winning base hit to score 2. So developing the whole roster was definitely something that's been of a high value to our team. We've had a chance to do some of that here since spring break. I think continued depth and development of our pitching staff, which you saw on Tuesday night. A number of kids got to the mound and pitched beautifully in a 5-3 win. The bullpen went scoreless, I think, for 5 innings there. And, when you mention inside of conference play, you're going to have to beat some darn good pitchers, and you're going to have to control some really good offenses. And I think the first 2 weeks we saw that. The Kansas State offense was a pretty explosive offense. They have some strong kids. They have some athletic players. We played in a very offensive environment. So just being able to put together winning games using the entire roster, whether it's a day where you got to win 12-10 or one of those games you're going to have to win 2-1, we know this league's going to demand the ability to play both styles. And, I think those are things that we knew we needed to work on and get better at. We're not a finished product, but I think we've at least had a chance to dive in on some of those things, and we have an awareness level of where we need to get better.
In the early part of the season, we've seen the benefit of the depth. Houston Morrill out for a while, Griffin Dorshing out for a while, and there have been others. But as we get deeper into conference play and some of these younger players get more experience, how much of an advantage is it to have pitching and offensive depth and guys on the bench in order to play the right matchups late in games or even at the start of games to give yourself the best chance to win? How important does that become as we get later?
Well, it's certainly good to at least have the option. There's some seasons where you might find yourself matching up and saying, this is a tough look for our guy right here, right? But if you do have options there, a better matchup might exist inside of the unit. If you think the player can come off the bench and deliver, then you give them that opportunity. You play percentages, but you also use your instincts. That's a tough call because sometimes the guy that's been in the flow of the game for 3 or 4 at-bats is loose and locked in, and he's maybe more adjusted to the field and the way the game's being played versus the guy that has to take his sweatshirt off and step right up there and deliver in a moment's notice. But matchups, I think, are part of high-level baseball. There's a reason why for years platoons were a big part of strategy and trying to get the matchup of the hitter having a better look at the ball or vice versa, the pitcher having advantage over the hitter by spinning the ball low and outside and all these different things that make the game such a fun game to be a part of. So, I think having options in the bullpen to match up, especially against certain types of hitters, but at the same time being on offense, the ability to match up to a guy that maybe comes out of the bullpen that features a really difficult pitch to handle, maybe you can better leverage your team or create a percentage where you feel like back and forth across 9 innings you can continue to tap into all of the guys' talent versus just, say, playing a 9-man lineup.
Yeah, you were talking about taking the sweatshirt off, so to speak, and what you're referring to as pinch hitting. I think you're hitting 440 as a pinch hitting group, 441 to be exact. I believe it's 15 out of 34. And a lot of those guys that are coming up with those pinch hits are younger players. I think all of us who follow baseball and follow Major League Baseball, you get so accustomed to guys comfortably pinch hitting and guys you can rely on. But for college hitters, that's a big transition, isn't it? And to be able to be delivering at that rate, that's pretty exceptional, is it not?
Yeah, it's a tough skill to acquire because it requires you to be mentally into every single pitch, even if physically you haven't been moving. And furthermore, it requires you to have a calm heartbeat, because sometimes the first thing you feel when you run up there is a natural rush of adrenaline that you're checking into the game, and then you can kind of get sped up a little bit. So I would give the kids a lot of credit for their work ethic and their team-first attitude of staying ready, and then their ability to deliver when asked has been a big part of our team.
You know, another thing I've been tracking is that your strikeouts have dropped way down offensively. I think you're only averaging maybe 7 per game the last 18 games. You're on pace, ironically, for the fewest strikeouts in a season since your World Series team in 2016. Has that been an area of emphasis? Has it just sort of happened organically? How has that worked? Because you're a team that's built for power. You say that very openly, but those strikeouts are down, goodness, about 60% since early in the year.
Well, I think early in the year, I think strikeouts are a big part of early season baseball because you're still trying to find your timing. You're coming out of the cold air and the inside training to the outside, and then we faced a few pitching staffs inside of the first 10 or 12 games that are going to strike you out no matter what time of year it is. So we did see some strikeout dominant type pitching staffs to begin with, but certainly a point of emphasis. Striking out is rarely a quality at bat, and the kids have done a good job of making some adjustments. I think, to your point, the more at bats you get, the timing starts to improve a little bit when it comes to catching up to big fastballs, but there's some awfully dominant arms in the college game right now. And if you run into one of those arms on certain nights, you got to fight like crazy to get the ball put in play, because there's multiple out pitches in their arsenal. And unlike when I played, there's guys throwing the fastball in the mid to upper 90s and spinning the ball in the mid to upper 80s. And you used to not see that in college baseball. So the talent, the power inside of the athlete that we're seeing in the college game right now it's the highest it's ever been. There's some really gifted kids playing college baseball. So strikeouts and catching up to the ball and making adjustments are pretty big offensive adjustments to make when you come to this level, whether you're coming here from high school and adjusting to college pitching, or you're coming here from, say, a transfer position where maybe you've had a really successful run in junior college, seeing a lot of 90-mile-an-hour pitching. You now may be seeing a lot of mid-90s pitching you hadn't seen. So I think it's a cumulative effect of stressing contact, but also making adjustments. And sometimes the more you get outside and the more you get in the batter's box, the ball starts to slow down for you.
And obviously, Bedlam, this weekend, you'll be seeing quality arms again.
Oh, yeah. This, the conference every weekend offers you a different challenge. This particular weekend with OU, very good starting pitching. They've got 3 guys that have size, stuff, and a good track record. So all 3 of their starters get the ball to home plate quickly. They all have good breaking pitches, and they have some good arms in their bullpen. So it's just another challenge, another weekend in the Big 12 where you're going to see high-level players, high-level athletes, and you got to be on point.
I'm sure, and knowing you'll be very focused, but the thought of 3 Bedlam games in the brand-new ballpark at O'Brate Stadium, I mean, to me, I can't wait to be a part of that, because I think the atmosphere could just be amazing. And probably for you, a lot of thoughts back to your childhood and what it was like at the old ballpark and with any of a number of postseasons, regionals, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think it is going to be fun. And we wanted to get the series back to campus. It was part of our idea and vision for building O'Brate Stadium, or at least in the early stages, the dream of building an on-campus facility was to bring a big-time college baseball atmosphere back to this campus, and we had lost that for a number of years, and we're working hard to recapture it. And I'd say the early return this year, some of the crowd's been fantastic, and obviously the facility's beautiful. So we have a chance now to see maybe what the stadium looks like at capacity, and continue to write a new chapter in OSU baseball history and in our experience book, right, of our players' experience, our fans' experience. And I don't know that all 3 games have been played on a singular campus in quite some time. So that'll be a different, fun way to experience what's always been a great rivalry and a great college baseball series.
Stay with us. A discussion of NIL when we return.
Hello, sweet babies. Welcome to your new home. You have changed our life, and you may even change the world. And because of you, 2021 is the best year ever. Mercy has helped moms deliver babies for nearly 200 years. To find out how to welcome your baby at Mercy, visit mercy.net/OSUmom.
At Academy Sports and Outdoors, bikes for the whole family are just a click away. Buy online at academy.com with our free in-store assembly. Your next set of wheels, plus helmets, pads, and water bottles will be waiting for you at our in-store pickup counter. Get to the fun faster with our in-store pickup and free assembly at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
At OG&E, the energy we deliver is more than electrical. We energize the future by balancing our efforts to provide the lowest rates possible with our responsibility to protect the environment for future generations. That's why we've strengthened our power grid through new technologies, leading to a 40% reduction in CO2 emissions, which, when combined with our rates, makes us an industry leader. Because at OG&E, we do more than energize a power grid. At OG&E, we energize life.
Decorative towel.
There was a mess. I wiped up a mess.
Yeah, you...
Where is the box? Never mind, I found it.
Welcome back, football fans. We'll see you in the fridge.
Welcome back to the Orange Power Podcast. I'm Jessica Maury, and this week we are joined by a very special guest. Not a student athlete this week, but someone who works very closely with our student athletes here at Oklahoma State University, Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So you are the assistant professor of professional practice at the Spears School of Business, and you are heavily involved in the NIL world with our student athletes. How did you get involved in that?
Well, the dean's office asked me to teach a class on personal branding, name, image, and likeness. And this happened right at the summer before everything came about with NIL. And they asked me, I think because I teach marketing and also because I have student athletes in my family, and they thought maybe this is a good fit. So they asked me to do it, and that's how it all started.
How's it been going since that time when they asked you to teach that class?
Absolute craziness. In the meantime, I now teach 2 versions of the class, 3 credit and 1 credit. I wrote a textbook and courseware on this that we are distributing nationwide, and I started my most favorite thing, the Brand Squad.
Awesome. Okay, before we get to the Brand Squad, this class that you teach, it's not just for student athletes, right? It's for anybody who wants to learn about NIL, which obviously is just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We think of it like an influencer class.
Awesome.
Because that's exactly what student athletes are learning to do, but anyone can take the class. And we have Brand Squad members taking the class, we have student athletes taking the class, and we have people who just want to know more about personal branding taking the class.
It's so new. So how difficult was it for you, for them to just say, hey, you're going to teach this class, but it's not like this has been around for a while. This is very new. So how were you able to kind of learn and hone in on everything that needs to be taught in these classes?
Yeah, it has been a learning process all the way through. I mean, the course has constantly changed to update for things that are happening. But basically, the course is personal branding, and that hasn't changed. So the concepts of personal branding are great for student athletes or non-student athletes for your entire career. The interesting part is all of the NIL compliance regulations and what we can do, what we can't do, what's appropriate, and how student athletes can take advantage of this.
How do you keep up with all of those rules? How influential has the athletic department been in kind of helping you with that to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page and no rules are being broken and everyone's taking advantage of what they need to take advantage of?
Yeah, we have actually a compliance training course in Canvas, the learning management system, to make sure that anyone involved with this understands the compliance rules fully here at Oklahoma State. And they also at the athletic department will feed me different things. Hey, this is changing, this is happening, you need to pay attention to this, or look at what this student athlete in another school did, just so I am aware of it. But I read every single day all over about things that are happening in NIL, and every day there's something new.
How great is it that the athletic department has been so beneficial to you and helpful?
Oh, it's been amazing. And the way that this course originally got started was the athletic department reached out to the dean and said, hey, we want this course. So everything has led kind of from the athletic department really wanting to do the right thing for the student athletes here at Oklahoma State.
We love to hear that. That is awesome. So you mentioned the Brand Squad. What is the Brand Squad?
So the Brand Squad is a group of students. It actually formed from our marketing club, well, a group of students who are trained in NIL, trained in personal branding, and also certified, who then pair up with our student athletes and help them with their name, image, and likeness, help them get their social media set up, help them if they get a pitch or if they get an idea of how to pitch a business or a corporation on sponsorship, or maybe they get something incoming into their email box saying, hey, we'd like to have you sponsor our XYZ product. And so we help them navigate through all of that, and it's been amazing. It's been so much fun.
And how many marketing students do you have involved with this?
So right now we've got 50
Wow.
marketing and sports management students, and we have more than 50 student athletes. So we have a form that everyone has to fill to get into the system, and then we pair people up, and we usually take 2 Brand Squad student members and pair them up with 1 student athlete. So a lot of our Brand Squad students have more than 1 student athlete that they are working with closely.
Wow, that's an awesome opportunity, not only for the student athletes, but for the students as well, who are getting to learn all of this. So you're teaching the student athletes, but you're also teaching, these marketing and sports management students. So, how fulfilling has that been to see the success that it's grown, from just not even a year ago?
Oh, it's been absolutely amazing. And the Brand Squad, everyone who's involved with the Brand Squad, it is the most amazing thing that I have seen in my years, and I haven't been a professor for very long. This is my 4th year. But this is the most amazing thing because the students are so passionate about helping our student athletes. They will do in 24/7. They're texting me and talking to me about what they can do and hosting events and doing all this amazing stuff. If my regular students in my Principles of Marketing class did that, I would be ecstatic if they were as passionate about that class as they are about the Brand Squad.
How do people get involved with the Brand Squad? Not only your students, but also the student athletes. How can they get involved?
Yeah, so we have a website, brandsquad-osu.com. And so anyone can go there, a student athlete or a non-student athlete, and they can sign up. There's a form for each, and they can sign up. Now, for the student athlete, we just want to know, hey, what do you want to get out of NIL? What team are you on? That kind of information. For the students that want to be in the Brand Squad, there's an interview process that they must go through to make sure that they have the time to really serve student athletes, to make sure that they're really committed to doing this, because we need our students to be the same as our current Brand Squad students are, which is really passionate and really committed and able to take time to be able to do this. If you have too many credits, you're probably not going to be able to do this. But so we have the interview process, and then they have to take the NIL compliance certification course and the Brand Squad personal branding certification course.
Awesome. That's a lot, and that's great for them to get to learn and interact with the student athletes like that. How about if you're a business and you're listening to this right now and you maybe want to say, hey, you know what, I actually want to reach out to a student athlete. How can I contact them, and I'd like to be involved with the Brand Squad? How would they go about doing that?
Yeah, again, you can go to the Brand Squad website, brandsquad-osu.com, and there is a page just for businesses. Hey, I want to get involved. What does it require? And so people can reach out to us, and there's an email address there where you could reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in sponsoring a student athlete, or sponsoring a whole team of student athletes, or getting involved with one of your events or things like that. And we've got a whole series of things where people can get involved with a very small amount of money to a very large amount of money in helping out our student athletes and helping out what we're trying to do, which we think is beneficial for lots of things, including recruiting and including, hey, we're really successful at NIL. We really support our student athletes.
What are some examples of some of these opportunities that these student athletes have gotten through the Brand Squad?
Yes, so there's been some product opportunities. There's been some autograph signings. There has been some where they may get some product in exchange for doing maybe some social media posts. We have some big brands and small brands that have really helped out with this. We've got local businesses that have contributed. And we even have some individuals who are reaching out saying, hey, I want to give $500 to the brand squad, and can you distribute that to our student athletes? And we're like, okay, yes, of course we can do that. Actually, someone's grandmother just gave us $500, and she wants to support the Brand Squad student athletes. Now, as a Brand Squad, we don't take any of that money. We distribute it all to the student athletes.
Okay.
So we are not an agency. We don't take a commission or anything like that. We are in it for the wholesome good of the student athletes.
And that's what I was going to say as well is, if some of these student athletes were to have agents or something like that, they take a cut of what they're getting. But you guys don't do that. The student athletes will get the full amount of whatever they, have agreed to get from these companies, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we put them on a platform, a merchandising platform where if they have brands that want to reach out to them, if there are brands that want to reach out to our student athletes, they can go to this platform. And the brands that contact through the platform, they can, the student athletes will get 100% of that money. And so it really works out. Like, we do not want this to be an opportunity for us to make money or for me to make money or something like that. This is all about the university and helping our student athletes really be able to take advantage of this.
And you're very passionate about this. Why are you so passionate about NIL and helping the student athletes?
Well, I've asked myself that question a few times. No. So I think one of the reasons that I got asked to do the teach the class and all of those things is because I have student athletes in my family. So my son just recently graduated. He missed the whole NIL thing as a Division I hockey player. I have a Division I football player going to Wisconsin, nephew. I've got a niece that plays Division I volleyball. I've got another niece that just finished playing Division I soccer. So we've got all sorts of student athletes in our family, and I'm really passionate about student athletes because I know how difficult it is to be a student athlete. I mean, it's difficult to be a student in general, but the pressure that's on our student athletes, especially in the Division I area, boy, I just think it's a great opportunity for them to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness, as I think that they should be able to do.
How do you feel like NIL has grown since the legislation was introduced?
Well, it's grown with all sorts of money being tossed around in different places. And the thing that I really love about Oklahoma State is that it has been still very wholesome. It's not been, these kind of deals that we see in some places. They're just, I just can't imagine that these are going to be things that are going to continue. But what we've done at Oklahoma State is really just honestly name, image, and likeness. A student athlete has it, and they should get compensated for it. If they have a T-shirt, or if they, and that's another thing we've done I didn't mention before. We've done a lot of merchandise deals for our student athletes where they develop their own logo and they put it on a T-shirt, and we sell those T-shirts all over the place. And it's great. All the money goes back to the student athlete.
So when you're talking about the T-shirts and the developing the logo, do you guys have, graphic designers and people who kind of help come up with that? And then, you work with the merchandisers. Do you have people like that maybe have a little bit of more expertise in areas like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have graphic designers. We've got social media specialists. We've got all sorts of people that are in the brand squad. But the first thing that we do with student athletes who come into the brand squad is, number one, we work with them to help them get verified on Instagram and other platforms. And then we help them develop a logo. We also do a brand audit to see where they're at with their current brand and those kinds of things. But the logo is one of the first things we do, because if we do any merchandise for them, we need a logo. And that's one of the fun things that we get to do. And we also have a podcast where we get to promote the student athletes and their stories, similar to, I guess, what this is, this podcast. But we have our brand squad athletes doing a podcast as well. And it's really, really fun to hear the stories, as I'm sure that you hear all the time.
Yeah, they are great stories. Obviously, for these student athletes, it's really important for, to showcase them as people and not just athletes. And I love that this whole university really gives us an opportunity to do that, which I think is super important. And speaking of things that are super important, it sounds, superficial, but the verification on Instagram is a really big deal. It's a really big deal for our student athletes. It's something they're really passionate about. And so maybe they didn't know that if they go through the brand squad, I know there's a ton of our student athletes out there that want to be verified, that want to do that. That's another reason to join the brand squad.
Absolutely. I mean, Number one, it's the verification on Instagram, and number two, it's the logo, and those are things you can't really get in other places.
Yeah.
Now, we work with the athletic department to help get our student athletes verified on Instagram, but it is a process that we take the heavy lifting and really help the student athlete get that done.
Yeah, it is very, very important. I know a few weeks ago I got verified. I'm really excited about it. That was really, really fun. And then that was like a day where a bunch of our athletes got verified as well. I think my boss just threw my name, it snuck my name in there, and maybe they didn't look to see that I wasn't a student athlete. But I know that a bunch of them got verified, and they were just so excited. And I mean, I watched a guy come up, one of our players came up to my boss's office and was like, hey, have you heard anything from Instagram? And he said, yeah, you got verified today. You didn't see? And he looked at it, and just the joy on his face, he just jumped up and down. You would have thought he just, won a bowl game. It was so fun to watch. But yeah, a lot of people might think that's not a big deal, but for a lot of these guys, it is a big deal, and it's important to them. And so, what would you say to an athlete right now that's maybe on the fence or doesn't really know a lot about NIL and thinks, no one wants to have a logo from me. No one's going to buy anything from me. I don't have that many followers. I don't, play football or basketball or baseball. I play, a sport that maybe doesn't get all of the attention like football and basketball. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that's actually normal. Most of the student athletes that we work with are not, we work with a lot of student athletes that are baseball and football and highly in basketball and highly promoted sports, but we work with more that aren't in the highly promoted sports, that aren't those stars that you see all over the place. And that's actually the purpose of the Brand Squad, is to help out all of the student athletes. And when a student athlete says, well, I don't have enough followers, or this isn't for me, they're not correct, because you don't need 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. Even if you've got just 1,000 followers, but all your followers are totally engaged, that is important for a brand. They like that. They like to know, hey, if you post something about my brand, my product, we're going to get a lot of traction from it, and they're really interested in that. So it doesn't need to be that you're going to be some standout star influencer, millions of followers kind of a person. It just means that we've got people and we've got businesses that really want to support our student athletes at Oklahoma State, and it's a great opportunity. So if you're on track and field, or you're soccer, or you're tennis, or equestrian, we've got players from all of those different sports involved in the Brand Squad right now, and we're helping them.
So for an athlete who, maybe isn't going to have the opportunity to go pro, isn't going to have the opportunity to play after college, how can still being a part of the Brand Squad help them in their future in whatever degree field, whatever career field they decide to get into?
Yeah, the important thing is with creating your personal brand is that extends way beyond being a college athlete. It's something that you're actually preparing yourself for the future, because it's maintaining that personal brand and figuring out, what do you want your personal brand to be? What do you want it to look like? What kind of post do you want to make? What kind of communication schedule do you want to have? And all of those things matter when you're going to get a job in the outside of the sports world kind of a deal, and it really matters. And in the course I teach, we have a whole entire section on beyond college, and it's how to take that personal branding information and really use it to help you with your career, get a job, and keep a job.
Yeah, all of that sounds very beneficial. Last question, where do you see NIL in 5 years? That's a tough one, and I had to hit you with a tough question at the end.
That's a zinger. Yes, it is a tough question, and I think that probably nobody really knows where NIL is going to be in 5 years, because if the NCAA comes out with some different regulations, or there's some other laws or things that are passed, but right now I think it's going to, if I was betting, I would say I believe that it's going to be continuing what it is right now, which means that student athletes from across different sports are going to be able to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. More and more businesses are going to get involved with student athletes, especially really important alumni and people that are, that really care about this university. They are going to get more and more involved with NIL, with contributing to the name, image, and likeness, and the monetization of that for our student athletes. I think it's just going to grow.
And I lied. It's not my last question. I know. What do you see as the biggest challenge being here at Oklahoma State with NIL? Because you can look at other schools in places like Austin or bigger cities where they have a bunch of businesses from all over, that are centrally located right there in the heart of the state. Stillwater's a little different. They don't have a ton of businesses like that. Has that been a challenge that you've seen, or where do you think is the biggest challenge you've seen so far with NIL?
Yes, you nailed it. I think that is the biggest challenge with us, is because we're in the middle of a small town, and a small town has a lot of small businesses. And, our biggest donors are and alumni and contributors are in Tulsa and Oklahoma City and all other places. A lot of them are not residing right here in Stillwater and getting to see the media on what is happening and be able to really feel like they're a part of what's happening with this NIL. And so I think that it's just a matter of us talking about it like we're doing today, and just letting people know, letting businesses know, letting alumni know that this is something that we are really committed to in a really right-sized way here at Oklahoma State.
And it's a great way, like you mentioned, for alumni that maybe feel like, hey, how can I get involved? I can't make it to every game. I can't, buy season tickets because I live, 5 hours away and I won't be able to make it. This is a way that they can be directly involved with our student athletes.
That's absolutely correct. And, just reaching out to the brand squad and, if you say, hey, I don't know how to get involved, that's the best question to ask, because we've got all sorts of different opportunities where alumni could get involved and businesses could get involved. It's just a matter of them reaching out, and we know that we can make this really, really great.
So if you wanted to reach out, once again, let us know the website real quick and where people can reach out to you and to the brand squad.
So it's brandsquad-osu.com, and there you can find all the information about the Brand Squad, in addition to our email and contact information and everything else. So please reach out, and we would love to hear from people.
Great. I can't wait to see how this continues to grow. It just seems like such a great opportunity for our non-student athletes and our student athletes as well. Thank you so much for joining me. That is Dr. Maribeth Kuzmeski from the Spears School of Business. And thank you guys for listening and watching the Orange Power Podcast. We will be right back here next week.